Okay. I don't know why either. Hmm. Okay, it may just be a blurb in the internet. Who knows? Okay, I think we're all set. Thank you so much. You've been very helpful. Thank you. All right, bye. All right, I don't. Okay, so we're back. Now, okay, we're up and going. So let's go get the people in here. 5 participants. Where are you? Admit all. We got a chair. And a few chairs here. All right, let's go figure out what's going on here. All set now?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I could hear you, Tim. Now I can't. You're muted again.
All right, I'm running around the building here.
Mute.
There you go, Tim. Oh, I'm muted again.
It says mute. Now I'm unmuted.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, when it says mute, it's meaning that you can click it to mute it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's kind of funky.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, you're good now.
All right. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, I'm omitting a lot of people here. All right, it looks like we have a variety of counselors, other
I'm gonna
citizens.
say, whoop, sorry, I'm not muted.
That's okay. We can all test it out and see how things are going here. This was the fastest canceled meeting and the fastest put on meeting because the internet came back at 5. That was kind of crazy.
So up here you can hit mute.
All right. Let's see.
Catherine, do you know if we have anybody else joining us?
I don't expect anyone, but I probably would wait a couple of minutes because I did see the electricity went a little bit off and on here. And I don't see anyone else. This is a really good attendance here. So I think we're all set, Heather. Thank you.
Okay, all right. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone. Today is a regular town council meeting for the town of Pittsfield, Tuesday, March 2nd, 2021. And we are meeting by video teleconference this evening. I'm going to just start the meeting by identifying a couple of our counselors. Their names are on the video here, but it doesn't say counselor after them. So I just want to make sure we designate them, that Peter Lodgedice is a town councilor, Timothy Nichols is a town councilor, myself and Jason Hall. And then we have our new town councilor, Brent Frost. Brent Frost is joining us this evening. So nice to meet you, Brent. Welcome.
Okay, I will identify people. I think the staff put the names on, but I'll make sure it says counselor next time.
Okay.
See, some of these are easier to do than others. All right. They say you only need your name, but I think it's clearer if it does say counselor. We've got Mayor here, and then we've got Brent. Let's see if I can rename his. And I can.
Or you can do that remotely. Cool.
Wow, this is great. I learn something new every day. All right.
All right, there we go. We are all officially identified.
We look good. Thank you so much.
Well, welcome. So let's open the meeting with, let's try and do a Pledge of Allegiance. It's pretty interesting when nobody can really hear what anybody else is saying. We all have different cadence when we're speaking. So we'll get it started and then see where we go. So we can open with a pledge, please. Flag. I pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag
of
the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty, justice for all.
Now we're getting better at it. And if we could have a brief moment of silence, please. Thank you. Next item is council member elected February 2021 election for District of 2. Brent, I believe you've already been officially sworn in. Catherine, did we want to try a ceremonial one tonight, or?
We're all set. We put this on the agenda just to recognize that Brent was the new counselor. We swore him in yesterday to make sure there were no logistics issues. So he is all set to go.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you, Brent, and thank you for running and being willing to serve. Okay, we'll go on to adoption of minutes on the February 16th, 2021 meeting. So look for a motion.
Move we adopt the minutes of February 16th, 2021 as presented.
Thank you, Tim.
Second,
I missed who said that.
Pete.
Oh, Pete, sorry, okay. I was writing and I didn't see. All right, so we have a first and a second. Counselors, did you have any thing that needed to be addressed on the minutes of the last meeting?
No.
Okay, anybody else see any errors in the minutes? Okay. All those in favor of adopting the minutes of the February 16th meeting as presented, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, those minutes will pass. Thank you. Presentations, congratulations, introductions. Catherine, this is your department here, Economic and Community Development Activities.
All right, very good. We have a number of items listed this evening. Some of them are extremely important items. Others are just important for you to have information on. We have Chip Haskell, who is our CES engineer. CES Inc. is now Haley Ward, and he is on the Zoom town hall streams to update us on the Route 1110, which is basically the Main Street project, the new schedule that has come from Maine DOT. You have received a copy of. We've reviewed at 2 meetings now and are reviewing it again. We've received information from the Maine DOT, which is called a conditions plan. And so Chip has been working on that. We would like to have a meeting next week in which we invite the stakeholders to talk to Chip and anybody interested from the Town Council Planning Board and anyone else, the businesses. It would be quickly called, but we'd like to move forward as fast as possible now that we have a schedule and received yesterday a letter of commitment from the Maine DOT that the project is going forward and is listed as advertised next year. So that means the additional funding will be coming through. They would not list a letter otherwise. And so that will help us with our CDGB Community Development Block Grant project that we'll be applying for an amendment to. So I'd like to have Chip just update us a little bit on the project in terms of the information that he has received and sort of a timetable on what he can do, what he's received, and then we'll see what we can do here.
Absolutely. Good evening, everyone. How are y'all?
Good evening, Chip.
Froze, we're good.
Yeah, it went from warm to frigid real quick, didn't it?
Yes, it did.
I wasn't expecting that this morning. Oh, well. Yeah, I thank you, Catherine. It was a good summary there. In general, as you all know, it's been a lengthy process to get to this point. And, you know, we're sort of been waiting here on DOT to kind of figure out what they were doing realistically here. And, you know, we've really been waiting on them to kind of do their design for the roadway portion of all of this and any sort of utility work, really so that we can begin our sidewalk design from a sturdy foundation here. And in that whole process, you know, there's been a number of meetings here with DOT, and it's the scope, our scope has really shifted a little bit. In talking with Kathy last week, we're just kind of going over that, and it sort of made sense with the whole piece really outside of town. for that to stay with the DOT's engineer, where they were having some historical concerns with the esplanade and some large trees and things like that. That made sense for that to kind of move into their purview. And what we're going to now focus on is really the area within downtown. So within the last few weeks, we did receive a proposed design plan from the DOT's engineer, which shows their proposed design through downtown. With that, we took that and kind of, I'll share my screen here and show you. Oh, I can't share it right now. Is there, Kathy, any chance I could?
We will do that right now.
Great. With that information, we created kind of a base plan for ourselves to start from, which just shows effectively the sidewalk, shows the buildings, shows a lot of the existing conditions that are out there, along with the proposed grades that the DOT is looking to hit. Just grab my screen here. Okay. Everybody see that okay?
Mhm.
All
Yeah.
right. So hopefully that looks familiar to some of you. But yeah, this is obviously the railroad tracks sort of right here. And then we have really the downtown portion here heading towards Somerset right here on the right-hand side of your screen. So what you'll see here, you see a lot of I'll zoom in a little bit here so we can see a little bit more detail. But this is all a result of the DOT's survey and then their engineers proposed elevations. So you'll see the dashed topography lines. That represents what it currently is. And these sort of solid lines represent what they're proposing for these contours to be. I don't know how many of you are familiar with contour lines, but that basically just means the elevation of the road at that point. So you're seeing it's really not changing a whole lot. They're not picking up or lowering the road too awful much. They are lowering the road a little bit for the most part down through here, but just by a few inches, if anything. This is all very important to us as it really determines what elevation we need to tie into. So we really needed to understand that before we could really begin our design within downtown. So now that we have this information, we know all of that. That's the basis for our design. We can really start, start running with this thing. We can start. I think that really all begins with a strong meeting with the stakeholders. Really, it's been so long now that I think it's really essential at this point to reevaluate the goals of the town, especially within this downtown, sort of corridor, to make sure we're hitting those goals. What sort of finish do you want on the sidewalk? Does it want to be paved, concrete, bricks? There's a number of options there. Do we want to reevaluate parking in the area? What do we want to do with streetlights? There's a number of things we can talk about, and making sure we're staying within the CDBG grants and things like that. But certainly a number of things that we do want to discuss before we really jump off here. So related to timing, I promise I'll stop talking in a moment. You can absolutely ask some questions, but related to timing, in some meetings with DOT, they did ask if we could have some concepts of this by, they said April. They didn't really give me a date. I have reached out to see if we could firm up a date on that. I don't think that would be a problem on our end to hit an April timeframe for a concept, provided that we can get this stakeholder meeting moving forward here in the short term. All the other deadlines on the DOT's end were, months and months, if not years out, in some cases, which was, easily for us to hit on our end relative to the sidewalk piece. So we're certainly not the critical path piece of this, but we understand it's certainly important to the town to keep moving, and we'll definitely do that. So with all that being said, are there any questions about all this?
I have a question, Chip. The bump outs that are showing there, is that what it looks like currently or what it's proposed to be?
That is what that's my understanding. I believe this was all part of the existing condition survey. So that is all up for discussion. However, There's a number of reasons for those bump outs, which we can certainly discuss at that stakeholders meeting. This one in particular, you'll see these bump outs in a lot of cases at sidewalk location. I'm sorry, crosswalk locations rather. And the reason being is you can't have a parking space within, I believe it's 20 feet of that actual crosswalk location. So this creates a good separation and sort of a large landing area for folks. I do understand that it certainly also has some negatives that come with that relative to plowing and just overall maintenance. So there's some things we could do that may help there, and we can discuss that for sure.
And so that T, like where your marker is there, that T that kind of goes across the road there. Yeah, that's
Yep.
an actual crosswalk.
That's correct. Yep.
And then there's another one down, like, I guess it would be over just to, yes, right there.
Yep. Right there. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So that's a crosswalk. And then this would be let's see here. We kind of come up further, and I think there's another bump out
Yeah.
right at
down.
Somerset. So this is Somerset Ave and another crosswalk there.
Mhm.
So our scope really, at this point is from Somerset Ave down to the railroad tracks.
And there's sidewalk just on that side of the street, or is there also a sidewalk on the other side against the
There
Chippewa?
is a sidewalk on the other side. However, our scope for improvement is really just on this northern side of the main road.
Okay. So it's just on Somerset. It doesn't go down towards the Chambro campus.
Down this road, you're saying?
Nope, the other one. Go to the left, I guess.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
This down here.
down
No,
that way. Just-
nothing in our scope anyway has anything on this side of the road. The only thing I will say is there has been some discussion relative to the Veterans Park, and kind of getting better access in this area
Mhm.
where we do have that crosswalk. So that's part of a potential discussion with DOT as well.
So this is just showing the scope of where you're going to be doing your work, but not the full scope of where the state is going to tie in to the new roadway.
That's correct. Yes. So the state is picking it up from these extents and going for the full width of that project. And I can't recall the name of the road that goes to. My apologies on the west. But it's maybe Kathy can hit that.
Yes, the DOT, because they were doing so much work and out in the right of ways, ditching, elevation changes, pavement, shoulder issues and everything were being addressed because the project had expanded so much. They wrapped our tiny little sidewalk into their design to fit it in. You remember the whole discussion on the Esplanade and everything and how they wanted that kept in the project. So they're working on that. It's still our project. We get input. However, it will be on the DOT plans. And our other section of sidewalk, which is in the downtown area, we have to make sure this is totally coordinated with the main DOT. They have spoken to us about wrapping this into their project or bidding it out at the same time. So we get the same contractor. There are pros and cons, but it would be coordinated really well. You wouldn't have two contractors working side by side, which we know always causes issues. So there's a lot to discuss with the main DOT now that they've got their, starting on their plan, they've done all of the major work and the expansion of the project down past the railroad tracks and things are starting to firm up and we received the letter yesterday. So I believe we'll be going back to regular meetings and moving forward according to their schedule, and we need to keep them to their schedule too. Oh, we've got another person coming in. Lots of people, which is good. So thank you.
Ben, did I see your hand? You have a question?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, so I'm pretty new to this project, right? And I don't know how much control we do or don't have over it. I just heard paved sidewalk mentioned as a possibility. Obviously, you're just throwing out examples, but if we do have control, I would absolutely avoid paving any sidewalks along that. You're gonna, no matter how well it's built, you're gonna get heaving. That's gonna jam up doors, and it's just gonna be a maintenance nightmare. I know there's just an example that was thrown out there, but if we have any say in it, I would avoid paving that. Go with it. I would stick with the concrete as it's built now, and the lighting. absolutely, if a lighting upgrade can be rolled into it, I think lighting is desperately needed along that strip. It's pretty poor as it stands today.
We definitely prefer concrete. It'll all come down to cost, but it should be concrete replaced in turn as what is there, as well as the granite curbings and everything. And lighting is definitely important. This lighting is antique here and needs to be updated. It always has issues.
Yeah, but make sure we roll in long-term maintenance costs of
Yes.
an asphalt option, right? 'Cause it's a lot more work.
Yes, definitely. Mhm. Good point, Ben. Thank you. So we're hoping to have a stakeholder meeting next week so that we can move this along as quick as possible. We would invite everyone along the section of the roadway that we'll be talking about, which is the downtown area. We'll also invite as many people as we can further on, definitely Maine Central Institute, any of the bigger businesses down there. Chip and I were looking at a meeting on Wednesday, March 10th at 6:00 p.m. so that we could just have discussions with Chip on what people would prefer or be interested in. We would advertise this as heavily as we can. It would not be the only session on the project at all. It's just a beginning session to get things going so that we can move forward here, get the information to Maine DOT to keep their schedule intact and moving along here. So we will go over, get details on what people would be interested in. There'll be informational sessions later on and a full public hearing.
Catherine, were you anticipating that as an in-person meeting, or would we do another Zoom meeting for this?
Right now, we're virtual, so I would
Okay.
anticipate virtual. And we can take pictures of the downtown if we think that. But the map is pretty good, and it's a small area. I think people are very familiar with it.
Yeah, and I can certainly pull up Street View. I don't know how recent those images. Oh, that's 2011, so maybe they're not too current.
I had another question, and maybe this is for Chip or for Catherine. So our sidewalk project is limited to that short piece of the downtown sidewalk, and we'll be making decisions about how we want that designed because it's in the downtown square. If we make decisions about what we want for that sidewalk to look like and design wise, does the state then carry that through for the rest of the sidewalk that they're rebuilding on the way down through MCI down that way?
We would
Sure.
put on the entire project because they're only wrapping the sidewalk into the area past the railroad tracks down as far as it can go. Our sidewalk will go beyond the scope of the DOT's project because the DOT's project ends approximately 0.07 mile from Nickel Street. Our sidewalk will continue. So these are some of the details we need to work out with the Department of Transportation. But that's still our project. It still will be in the scope of work. However, this gets bid out. Part of how this gets bid out and done will be based upon how the Department of Economic and Community Development wants to handle this. They will give us an extension. Perhaps there's more options if they want this completed and we need to set up an escrow with the Maine Department of Transportation. The monies may have to be shifted there. We'll find out shortly how this is going to be done, but we would still have input. They gave us input on a number of items, and I know why you're asking that. And we will just explain out what we would like and what are the issues that we see and make sure it's very clear.
Okay.
And I'll reiterate too, excuse me, our original scope was to design that full corridor, the sidewalk of that full corridor. And while we're not necessarily involved in the actual design of that, we're more than happy to, consult and review that, make sure, review that on behalf of the town and issue some opinions there.
Well, I will say this may have worked out interestingly because as we recall, and it's been a few years, CES Inc. had bid a tiny price versus all the other companies. You were really low bid. So this at least will give you the ability to concentrate on the downtown area so that we can make it perfect.
Yep.
I had a quick,
Yeah.
I had a quick question on those, on the stoplights. They are always flashing and never really are operating. Is that something that we could maybe just get rid of and put like some kind of stop sign there instead? I imagine those are relatively expensive to to run, and since they're not really functioning in any capacity, can we just get rid of those, or what's going to dictate that?
I believe we can, but we need to talk with the Maine Department of Transportation and go back. Contracts were signed many years ago on what can be done. When they put in the main lights at Somerset Main Street, we requested in writing several times that those be updated too. Maine DOT went down and looked at those, said that they were fine, had a very professional electrical company look at them and said that they would be all set for years. And then the next week they malfunctioned after the contract was signed. So this is something that we'll need to look into with them, but I understand your question, and you know, they're obsolete basically. Mhm.
Thanks.
Good questions.
Catherine, the stakeholder meeting next week, that would also include the committee that was set up for this project?
Yes, we have a few members, and if anyone wants to be on the Main Street Community Development Block Grant Project, let us know, and we're going to advertise that too when we send out the notices to everyone.
Okay. Anybody else have any other questions for Chip or Catherine regarding the project?
So this was basically just an introductory meeting to go over everything. You've been getting the timelines, the updates. You've been had consultations with the Maine Department of Transportation on items that they were interested in getting your information on and what the town was interested in. But this was basically to roll this all out. We talked about starting up the committee several times, but you would want them to have a full project and items to work on so that they'll be truly vested in it. And so now we've got that. So we'll zoom forward here.
Okay.
Oh, next week.
All right. Thanks for joining us tonight, Chip, to share the plans and the details so far.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Great.
All right. Have a great night, everyone.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, you too.
Bye.
Catherine, where are we at? Are you on number 2, Main Street Sidewalk Project and multiple other small grants, or down to the town video?
Pretty much, I will finish up on the Main Street Sidewalk Project and just note that yesterday afternoon, we did receive the commitment letter from the Maine Department of Transportation, the best commitment letter we're going to get, which can be given to the Department of Economic and Community Development to show them the project is actually going forward. And we will be asking for the amendment because the contract for the grant runs out this week. It's a $250,000 grant. We have the match of $250,000 or 50% in escrow here with the town. And so we will ask them for an amendment and then see how they want to proceed forward with this. But Maine DOT seemed to know what we needed in a letter, and I perceive that this has happened before. They seem to understand that we would need a letter of commitment for the Department of Economic and Community Development. All the other grants and all the other projects and monies that we have, everybody has, all the funders have said that that's fine, just take care of it when the project, the Main Street project goes forward with DOT. We do have 2 grants for the tree plantings, which has been extended to June 30th. And if that's not workable, just because of COVID-19 and getting the exact locations of the right-of-way and where it's going to be, then I expect that we could probably get amendments because it's reasonable. We don't want to go plant trees and then have them, dug up the next year. So everything's going forward on that. I'll advance very quickly through the other items for you because although we have connect now, we did not have connectivity for quite some time. So we want to make sure that everything is fine here. Number 3 is the town video commissioned by the Pittsfield Economic Expansion Corporation. This was finished in its final view given to the town councilors 2 weeks ago. Several councilors said it was very good. One councilor had some items of interest and then some more items of interest. And so those items are being looked at by Gary Jordan on the Pittsfield Economic Expansion Corporation. As well as the company. They're going to make a couple of changes and ask for information again from businesses in the hopes that we can add in a little bit more. Those are all good comments that Jason Hall, Councilor Hall had. So that is moving forward, and we just have to finish this so we can put it out and start advertising the town in many free locations and many other locations, and hooking up with different tourism and other community development sites where we can put links on, which would be very helpful. Number 4, the planning board review projects. I had reported on that fully at the last meeting. The planning board members, all but one, were able to participate in the Zoom planning board zoning board training, which was the first training that's being offered to them this year. And the second training is scheduled for March 15th. And we'll be sending out a notice. KV-COG, the Kennebec Valley Council of Governments, is doing a free session on the subdivision ordinance. So that'll be very interesting. So as soon as they finalize their agenda, I will set that up and send that notice out widely. Anyone can participate beyond the planning board members, zoning board members, town councilors, citizens, developers, businesses, everyone. Number 5, airport grant projects. We've tied off more of the projects and have an exciting ordinance later on. So that brings forward a project we've been working on for years. So that is really good. Number 6, main efficiency funding opportunity. We have found we have quite a bit of different items that we can submit for the town, and we have staff working with a couple of different companies to get quotations so that we can submit for the rebate program and see if we'll be eligible for replacing some of the older lights that are in the buildings, and to replace some of the lights that we replaced 10 years ago too, because they're obsolete now. So that looks like a good opportunity. Number 7, the Northern Regional Border Commission grant opportunity. This will have the announcement coming out, I think, by the 6th from the Northern Regional Border Commission. These are grants in which you would have a 50% match toward a project. They can go up to $1 million, but obviously we don't have $500,000 for a match. But they can be sewer and water projects, road projects, items that are targeted to make development happen or offer the opportunity for development. As you know, we did get one of the first one of the Northern Regional Border Commission. I think it was the city of Auburn and the town of Pittsfield, which were the first main towns in the history of the new program to receive those opportunities. And we did a project on Madawaska Road, which replaced a highly infiltration line that was causing a lot of issues with the treatment plant. So that's an opportunity that we're looking at with all of our associates now that we have taken the $85,000 bond payment required for the lagoon system in the future and been permitted to take that out of our budget. That's funds that would be available for another bond payment if we were so fortunate as to get a low interest or no interest loan with some grant money through either the state or we were to get a Northern Regional Border Commission grant. So we're looking at the opportunities now. And 8, there's several other grant opportunities, and I'll report on those as we get more specific information. We're exploring several and are scheduled for some Zoom sessions to get more information to see if they're relevant to the town. One is about the AARP senior planning grants to make your town more compatible for older citizens, for seniors, which many of us are now. So that might be something of interest. So I'll bring that all back to you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next item is public hearings and old business, and we have ordinance 21-01.
Ordinance 21-01, that the town of Pittsfield hereby ordains that the ordinance authorizing transfer of funds for the Pittsfield Municipal Airport be adopted.
Okay, and we had the public hearing for this last meeting, correct?
The public hearing is actually this meeting.
Okay, it doesn't, okay, it says it on the agenda, but not on my thing here. Okay, so this is a public hearing, so we'll be looking for input from the public. If you have questions, we can certainly ask questions, and Catherine can probably fill in the answers there. Anybody in the general public have questions before the council addresses this item? I am not seeing any, so we'll close the public portion of the public hearing and we'll look for a motion from the counselors.
Move we adopt ordinance 21-01.
Thank you. I hear
I
a second.
second.
Thank you, Pete. Okay, counselors, discussion on ordinance 21-01. Catherine,
As a quick update for the public that's attending on the Zoom town hall streams and the public at home on town hall streams, we have a magnificent opportunity to borrow funds from the town of Rangeley, from their entitlement funds that they'll receive from the FAA each year, which is $150,000 for a 2-year period, to borrow those monies that they have available that they are not using for a number of years because they're embarking on their master plan. And this will allow the town to have sufficient funding to move forward on applying for a grant and the approval for the airport hangar that we've been working on for many years. Currently, we have approximately $600,000 in entitlement funds that we've been saving up for this project. However, you cannot save any more under FAA requirements. And so unless we went out and borrowed funds or had donations or something happened, or which we likely wouldn't use taxpayer dollars for, we would have to come up with a unique situation or a solution. And the Maine Department of Transportation has started the transfer between towns that have entitlement money sitting there that do not need them for that particular year or would actually lose them if they kept them, to give those to towns for a period of time, to those towns that need the monies, which is in our case, the town of Pittsfield. And then in 2 years, or when the monies come in from the federal government, we will pay it back to that town, which is Rangeley, in order for them to move forward with their projects. And they've authorized all the paperwork, and this is our evening to authorize our part of the paperwork. So it's pretty much a miracle.
any other questions? Caleb, did you want to add anything, or we talked about this last meeting
And
pretty
that-
extensively about the opportunity for the town?
Yep, I mean, I guess I could talk about it for a long time, honestly, but because I'm very excited about it. It's been a lot of work to get to this point, and there's a lot of people that are in on this meeting that have played big roles in it, including Mike Gray and Kathy, and so I'll just basically answer questions, really, if people have
Okay.
any.
Anybody have any questions for Caleb, or are you ready to act on this? Brent, I think you're muted.
Get on mute up in the upper right corner, Brent.
I don't think I can unmute him. No, he's got to do it himself.
There he goes. He's got it.
There you go.
What's the total cost of this project?
So the anticipated cost of the project is, according to the engineer, around $1 million. It could come in less or more, but we would go forward under the anticipation that we would be able to have this work out. Sometimes when the bids are done, if you have interested parties in the area or companies that are interested in the area or on bidding this, or hangar owners actually bidding on this, it may bring us forward with a good price.
So right now, we'd have roughly 900,000 for this project. If
Now-
we-
Correct. Mhm.
And what do we do if our bids come in higher than that, come in and say 975? How are we gonna come up with the other 75,000?
Mhm. We'll have to determine if we'll move forward with the project or not. If there's some way to cut back on something, leave something out of the project after all these years and having this go forward, perhaps the Maine Department of Transportation or the FAA would agree to a certain area not be paved, or there has to be a solution. If the bids are reasonable. If they're not, then, we've worked on this and we'll have to try it again and maybe rebid it.
All right, thank you.
I should say.
Yeah, we've talked with.
Go ahead, Caleb.
Sorry, I have a terrible connection down here today. Luckily, I got it back in time for this. But
Yeah.
We've talked with the FAA and MDOT quite a bit about the fact that we may not have enough money to build exactly what we have initially requested to build. And basically, we're going to offer add-alts, which are options in the bidding package once we know what the numbers will be. And then so there can be options where maybe instead of a 6-bay, we get a 4-bay, so we're going to try to make the project happen in that budget period is basically what everybody's committed to trying to make sure it can happen this summer. I'm not sure about how our money that we've borrowed can be carried over another year. I don't know if that can happen or not. So,
Catherine, do you know about carrying over the money if we had to rebid and it took longer than that?
As long as the FAA agreed with it, this is an agreement between the two towns. The agreement's clear that we don't pay the money back until a certain point. We would have to work out the details to see exactly what's going on. Whether Rangeley could wait another year, whether some other arrangement could be made. We'll have to work this all out. It's all going to be based on whether the bids come in at a reasonable amount. If it's not a reasonable price, then, and there's no solution to it, we'll have to, revamp this and try again. There's other towns out there that at a certain point will have monies that are going to expire that may agree to transfer it to the town, and then we pay it back at a later year. Something has to work out between the two towns that have general aviation airports. So there are 23 of them, including us. So there are some opportunities out there, but obviously that would all come back to the council. This at least gets our foot in the door. It fits well. And the longer we wait, the higher the costs get with the project.
Ben, did you have a question?
Yeah, I know our time has passed. This is a question. I appreciate you explaining for the folks on the phone that aren't quite as familiar. My only question, Catherine or Caleb can probably explain better. This project, what does it do for the town? And for $1 million is a pretty big price tag.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's all relative, but what does it do for the town? And are there no other more essential projects this money could have been used for? I guess just a little explanation what it.
I'll let Caleb do the long explanation, but this is funds that can only be utilized at the airport, and the town has gone through and done all of its safety enhancements, everything that can be done that we're legally allowed to do. The FAA at one point had a project in which they wanted us to fence in the entire airport. So we fought that one with the Maine Department of Transportation to get rid of that so we could work on sensible projects. And so this is one of the sensible projects. So I'll let Caleb give us the explanation on the exact items, hopefully.
Are you still with us, Caleb?
all right, I am just I
Okay.
keep saying that my internet connection is weak. So I shut the video off to see if that
Okay.
helps it.
Sounds-
But everybody can hear me.
Yep.
So Ben, you got a lot of good questions. So the bulk of the money is coming from the CIP projects, capital improvement projects that the FAA earmarks certain amount of money for every airport in the entire country to get. And so we call it entitlement money. So we get, and Catherine can correct me if I say a number wrong, but we get $150,000 a year entitlement from the FAA that's earmarked for us. So it's not money that gets given to the airport every year. It's just money that's kind of put aside that we could use if we follow all their rules. And their rules are pretty stringent. You have to go through their program and develop a master plan, which is quite expensive. And you have to hire an engineer that's that works with that's familiar with the CIP program, and you have to put it out to bid, and you have to do all this stuff, and the FAA has to sign off on everything that all your they have to sign off on your master plan, which is like a 20-year plan on how you want to spend money or how you want to improve your airport. And this all came to fruition. The CIP program, I think, came to fruition in 2001, 2002. Catherine, is that about right?
Yes.
So, so basically, we can only save up $600,000 of our $150,000 a year is basically what we're limited to. And so on our master plan, we've done everything else that we want to do down here at the airport. We've fixed the runway, which was one of the worst runways in the estate. We've rebuilt our ramps and replaced a lot of our hot top, which was in really, really bad condition. So we've spent master plan that we've been working on for a long time was to have hangar development here at the airport. And one of our things that's been exciting is to have the town actually own the airport, so it could be a revenue generator for the town to help offset the cost of the airport. So that is one of the things to us down at the airport that seems like a noteworthy cause, because that a lot of the money to build the hangars actually coming from the FAA, and we only have to match, I think it's what, 5% of that number, Catherine?
In the last year, once COVID-19 went in, we had a zero match, but I don't know if it will still be a zero match for the upcoming grant.
Yep. So the bottom line is we're talking a small number for what we're getting as a total investment. So anyways, the bottom line is that all this stuff has been set into motion years and years and years ago. And I guess the other thing, other than it being a revenue generator for the town of Pittsfield, to actually this money will go to help offset the costs of the airport to the town. The other big piece of it is, to me, I think it is the single-handed best thing that we can do for the future of the, it is one of the best things that we can do down here at the airport to help shore up the future of the airport. Because hangars are such a big thing now. Anybody that owns an airplane wants to have a hangar to put it in. And there's a lot of competition for hangars. Old Town and Waterville and Bangor all have quite a few of municipally owned hangars that people rent to put their planes into. And all of them pretty much are the same. They're steel constructed, and they're just what we're looking to build. They're not insulated. It's just a steel building. It's just a steel shell with electricity run to it that has, and they're partitioned off on the inside so that the hangar will fit the. It just is. So every airplane has its own bay per se. You can't cross between the bays. In Pittsfield, all of the hangars that we have down here are not, or all the T hangars or the hangars that we have to put. I'm getting a low internet signal, but I'll keep going unless someone tells me to stop, I guess. But so all the hangars that we have down here are in pretty rough shape. They were all built in the 70s. They're half steel, half wood. We've been putting in a lot of money to fixing the roofs on them, but they're kind of open bays and they're privately owned. So I really think that having a structure like this here is going to be one of the best things for the long-term viability of the airport anyways, as far as people wanting to be here and keeping a plane here in 20 years from now. So
Thanks, Caleb. And you're very scratchy. Not any better.
did that answer your question, Ben?
I think we're getting near the end of this.
Got a thumbs up from him.
Thank you,
I
Kayla.
think, Catherine, there's no chat thing? Is it just, okay, we just have the reactions thing.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, people can raise
Thank
their
you.
hand, use the reactions. Mhm.
Okay. All right. Any other questions for Caleb or for Catherine regarding this ordinance? Okay, not seeing any. Let's go ahead and vote on it. All those in favor of ordinance 21-01, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, that will pass. Thank you. That brings us down to council committee reports. We have a finance committee scheduled to meet next week. And then ordinance committee will meet 2 weeks later in the off weeks between council meetings. And then recycling also has a meeting scheduled in, is it April, Tim, or May?
June.
Believe it's June.
It's not till June? Okay.
If
And
we
those
can have one
meetings-
sooner, we will, but I think it'll probably be June.
Yeah, and those meeting schedules can be found on the town calendar. They should be all put up there now, right, Catherine?
Yes.
Because they issued that calendar to us.
That calendar is issued and then we'll enter those all into the events calendar. So there'll be 2 locations. So people can go in and click and look at the different meetings and agendas as they come up. And they can also look at just a basic calendar and download that.
Okay, great. Board and committee updates by town councilors and manager. Catherine, do you have anything under this?
Just very quickly, the Parks and Recreation Committee met. They held a good meeting talking about the future of activities and how they would like to go ahead and do some updates to their safety plan. And we do have Ben Hall present this evening in case they wanted to provide any information this evening. We can schedule a session for them at an upcoming meeting if necessary to go over the safety plans, but things seem to be looking a lot better for recreation. And so they are working ahead on that. All the schools are in the green, at least as of yesterday. And we'll hope that that will continue. But they're looking at a number of activities in spring, and then talking about the summer program too, as well as the Pinnacle, which we do need to put a plan together on to work with MCI for next year. So Ben is here in case he wanted to say anything. He can unmute himself if he'd like.
You're all set? Yeah, we can't really hear what you're saying.
Going slowly here. Well, at least it's back on after being off for most of the town all day.
Yeah. Any other board and committee updates?
That would be it. All the committees are starting up again, all the council committees. So you'll have all your regular meeting scheduled on the calendar so people can look that up, and regular meetings are good for activity. The recycling committee is starting a little bit later because we have the activities for the families that we're going to promote, which will be for the Arbor Day and for the tree planting and Earth Day, for other activities in which we'll promote some items that citizens can do at their homes with their families, because we're still in a pandemic here and can't have our regular events. And then we are doing some recruiting because unfortunately a number of members of the recycling committee did pass away last year, sadly. So we'll be recruiting some more members. Thank you.
All right, so we're going to move on to new business. We have order 21-04.
Order 21-04, ordered that the town of Pittsfield hereby authorizes the execution of the cooperative agreement with the town of Rangeley in substantially the form attached, and authorizes the town manager to execute the agreement on behalf of the town.
We'll look for a motion, counselors.
Move we adopt order 21-04.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Pete. Okay, counselors, we're going to open discussion on order 21-04. And this is regards in executing the actual arrangement with the town of Rangeley, talking about the funds to transfer between towns that we were talking about for the airport for the previous 2 items. Any further discussion on this? Do you have any questions about the actual agreement itself?
It looks like Pete does.
No, I don't.
All set? Okay.
I'm all set. We discussed it pretty well. Yeah, we
All right.
pretty much know
Anybody in
where
the
we're
general,
at.
Anybody in the general public have any questions about the agreement? All right, I'm not seeing any. So let's go ahead and vote on this. All those in favor of order -21-04, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Okay, not hearing any, that will pass. And we'll move on to resolution 21-18.
Resolution 21-18, resolve that the town council sign a letter of support for extended producer responsibility for packaging.
Look for a motion from the counselors.
Move we adopt resolution 21-18.
Second.
Thank you. Okay, let's just have an open discussion about this. Counselors, do you have any questions about this?
What exactly is this in regards to?
This is basically talking, this is brought by a business owner here in town, the president of Dental Lace. It's the Zero Waste Dental Floss company that's based here in town. And Jody sent this letter of support. They're looking for municipal support for this bill that the Natural Resource Council of Maine is presenting through the legislature. So it would be signing a letter of support for that. Basically, it would be trying to get packaging, companies that are using packaging that's not recyclable to bear the cost of having those recyclable things recyclable instead of the town having to bear the cost of disposing of things. That's pretty much it.
Was this in regards to like plastic bags and straws, or is this what this is referring to?
I don't think it actually specifies to what it would be. Basically, it's plastic packaging for products. So it could be like Tide bottles that plastic jugs of laundry soap come in, or it could be food waste, food containers, or anything like that. It would basically be putting the onus on the company creating the waste to begin with in using and packaging their products to be responsible for part of the cost. Don't ask me about how the logistics of this will work, but it would be putting the responsibility on the companies to have a plan, or basically encouraging companies to use biodegradable or less damaging packaging.
She had requested a basic letter because we don't know all of the conditions that will be put in the legislation, if it will even go forward, and then how it will be set up, because it has to all be written. So it's a general letter of support only.
I
It
got a
would
question.
basically be that we would support the principle of having less waste.
Yes.
Brent? Oh, you just
Muted.
muted yourself.
Muted yourself. You got on mute.
You're still muted.
Oh, we got to click the
There you
mute.
go.
There you go. You got it.
It's hard to support something though, when you really don't know what they're saying to support.
Right.
Yeah, this is true.
Mhm.
We could table this for more information. It was something that Jody was very passionate about because her company has basically zero waste and they've gotten a lot of awards. So this item has come up. It hasn't been assigned a number as a bill as of yet, at least as I could find from researching it. But when it is, I'm sure we'll get a copy of it. But I think it's basically just to support that we would reduce waste, and we would be picked out, one, because our company is here, and two, because our recycling rate is so high. But we could ask for more information if you wanted to do so. Any letter that I would write would be extremely general because we don't know all the details.
Right, I'm all in support of reducing waste, but if we say we're supporting it, we don't know the bill, we could be putting a burden on some of the other companies in the area that we don't know what it entitles.
Yeah, I'd like to know what we were supporting before I wrote a letter to support it.
Yeah,
This
I
is
agree.
early.
I think it's I think it's good to reduce waste. There's no question about that. How much of an impact will have on other businesses? Like you said, I think that I don't think Jody'd be terribly offended if we tabled it to get more information before we take a vote on. I mean, I just think that's a smart thing to do.
I think that we're all in agreement on wanting more information before we signed any letters of support for anything. And especially, we want to see at least a draft of a bill, something that's coming out of the committee that's drafting it, as far as what, because you can sign a letter of support for something and then they completely change it when it gets into committee. So we'd certainly have the option, a better option would be to sign a letter of support when it goes to the full legislature, or even when it's in committee to support a proposal in a committee versus just some general. Obviously, we support the general idea of recycling because we have a great program for that. But for something specific like this, I think that we're all in agreement of wanting more information.
So this was a business request, so we did put it on the agenda just so you would be aware of it. And now it has a number. And so as it moves its way through the process, you'll be provided with more information. If we did do anything at this point, it would be extremely general and not pertain to a bill because it's not a bill yet. But waiting is also an option. But it was a request from a business for an agenda item, and so it's on the agenda.
Okay. I think we all appreciate that, and certainly appreciate her bringing her business back here to town and setting such a great example for all businesses and about, and I think she's probably willing to talk about business to other businesses about being zero waste and her experience in that. And in the course of saying that, I'm thinking that a really great activity for Earth Day might be able to host a Zoom talk with her about how her company actually accomplished that. And maybe if we can find some other companies in town that have high recycling rates, that we could do like an interview with other members of our community that actually practice these things as well, in order to, to highlight their business as well. To show what people are doing and hopefully inspire and encourage other people to recycle more.
That's a good idea. I never thought of that. I'd be more than willing to do that and help out with that. The other part of it is, and they can tell, with Jody, when this bill does go into committee and we get more specifics, we may be able to write a more detailed, not just a general thing, because we'll have the details. We may be able to get a letter that would impact them more positively,
Right.
once we have all the details. So I think in the long scheme of things, it might benefit her to wait a little, for us to wait a little bit. And maybe we could do a weightier, positive letter in her behalf. Once that gets into committee, we see what it looks like. Okay.
Now
That's
you're
a really good point.
Yeah, you're all aware of this, which is very good, and that we have this request that's pending based upon more information. And Heather has a really good idea. That's regarding the Zoom sessions. We were working with Maine Central Institute and doing all of the little film videos with recycling and everything years ago when they had their program set up. And then they had to change to a different type of program. And so now that we've got the Zoom with the town hall stream set up, we can do videos on different projects. We can do one on the Main Street project and our meeting. We can do one on recycling for Arbor Day projects, for Earth Day and Arbor Day and other topics. So this is really good now that this is set up, because the Zoom, you couldn't hear that well on the town hall streams. You couldn't see people that well. Now we've got this nice setup where we can interview people. We have unlimited access because we purchased the Zoom, and it fits with the town hall stream. So it's really good.
This, because we can record all these things as well, we're kind of getting off topic here, but because it can be recorded, it can then also be posted to the town YouTube channel. And it can provide really good content for the social media channels as well, in order to be able to kind of spread the word a little bit.
Definitely.
So let's get back to our resolution here. We have resolution 21-18. It was open for discussion. So we'll be looking for a motion to table this until we had more information.
I'd like to make a motion that we table resolution 21-18.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion, counselors, before we vote? Anybody watching tonight want to weigh in on this before we vote to table it? No strong feelings either way on that? Okay. All right, all those in favor of tabling resolution 21-18, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Not hearing or seeing any, that will be tabled until we have more information. And then we can go on to reports. Do we have any discussion items? Sorry, any discussion items, Catherine?
No, we do not, because I've been working on the finances and all of the grants to line up the airport. So we'll be all set to go. So no.
Okay, so we'll pass by discussion items and go right to reports. And so we'll go to the audience first. Anybody in the audience have anything they'd like to address to the council tonight? Mike?
Hi there. I would put out that for the new councilors, primarily Jason and Brent, if they would like an update on peak, I'd be more than happy to meet together individually, whatever timeframe fits best with your schedules. I don't have one, and I project I'm going to be around here for a few more weeks. Not that I want to be, but I need one more shot.
I think it's always beneficial to have an update about peak. So we can probably do it at a regular council meeting. And that way we can touch base with the other counselors if anything's in the works. I know the big project so far has been the video. And then we haven't really had another meeting since last summer, I think.
And we have a couple of things in the pipeline right now. I suspect you're aware of that we need to have a meeting on. And like I said, Brent and Jason, if you want a deep dive into what we've done in the past and where we think we're headed in the future, just give me a shout and be more than happy to meet with you.
Do you want to schedule a meeting for peak, Mike, while you're still here? Is that easier to do than before you head off again?
Yeah, I would think that if we could get something going, Catherine, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever fits in everybody's schedule.
Michael and I had talked about a proposal that has come around to the town again that Peak looked at briefly last year, given to the Pittsfield Economic Expansion Corporation by the town council to explore and getting all of the background information together. This is not a project that we went out and sought, but it's a project that has sought us. And so we'll put together some background information. The developer has indicated that they will meet with Pittsfield Economic Expansion Corporation anytime. And so we do need to have a meeting to follow up on the October discussions that we had. All the rest of our projects were completed, and then some projects are ongoing with the planning board. So yes, we can schedule something shortly.
It will take a few weeks to put together a lot more information than we have right now. And I've started to do that, and I know Catherine has as well, so.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so maybe we're looking at the beginning of April for a peak meeting then?
That would be good.
Okay. All right. Anything else, Mike?
No, I'm all set, thanks.
Okay, thanks for joining us tonight. Ben?
And try this one more time. Can you hear me any better?
You sound much
Yeah, you're
better,
perfect.
yes.
Yeah, those damn earbuds. Never mind them. I just on following up on rec from earlier, just really quickly. We got a little late start with a couple of our rec things from the winter. Getting cold enough weather to have some ice and snow, but we made up for lost time. We had a really successful learn to play hockey season outdoors. Masked, distanced. Had really great turnout, and it's really been a kind of our community rallying point for the winter months here, while we haven't had a lot of other opportunities. And I know the ski clubs had a successful season with this, the ski hill pretty full. As we look forward, we obviously didn't get basketball going like we all kind of assumed really wouldn't happen. But as we look forward to the winter months with the third vaccine being approved and numbers kind of flattening and declining, we are planning to go full steam ahead with a spring, early summer sports and rec season with safety measures in place, which we'll bring to this group to present to you before we put anything in place. We are looking forward to getting signups out there. We've done in the past couple seasons to get numbers in and start making decisions there. But we'll bring our safety plans forward and before we go ahead and do anything. And as Catherine mentioned, we are throwing around kind of some wild ideas about this summer, hopefully making up for lost time, become late summer and trying to do some really community kind of gathering, safely, socially distanced activities to get people out moving around of all ages. So trying to think about things like that. We have a couple other, we have a potential website, rec focused website that many communities in the state are using that we're looking hard at and trying to get numbers on. And I think it would really help streamline a lot of our rec challenges we have now. So we'll present that at a future meeting to you folks. And rec director, we don't have, as Catherine mentioned, we don't have a candidate in yet, but we're going to start applying some pressure on a few folks that have mentioned interest and see if we can't get a good rec director candidate through and get them up to speed. So before we really dive into spring and summer activities. So
Great, thanks for the update.
appreciate all your support.
Thank you for all you're doing. It's really nice to see the invigorated rec committee all working together on so many different things. And really, I think it's made a big difference having one committee working on all of the rec stuff together for sure.
Yeah, it's a good team. Thank you.
So, great. Pete, Big did you have anything for us this evening? Yeah, you're muted. Oh, and we lost him. All right. Counselors, Pete Lajadice, anything to report this evening?
I have no report this evening.
Okay. And I'm going to go left to right on my screen. I don't know if everybody's in the same order over there or not. Jason?
Yeah, I just had a couple things. One being that I reached out to some folks at Kleinschmidt about a couple things. One being the town boat launch, and it sounds like that is gonna start gaining some momentum again. They obviously ran into COVID, and then Bill Cunningham had some health issues, so that kind of went stagnant for a while. But that's supposed to be picking up in the next weeks or month, at least in the next month or so. And then additionally, Catherine, on that, on the main efficiency funding, I know Kleinschmidt got all new LED lighting, and that grant was 75% funded by main efficiency funding. And I guess it was Tom Chadwick that did basically all the legwork. So that might be a guy that we can reach out to and help us with any of that kind of stuff for the Pittsfield buildings or whatnot to get the lighting up to speed.
I wanted to note that Tom did a really good job working with the town. He did LED lighting and some lighting updates for the town of Pittsfield a number of years ago. We did check, he's not on the installer or the electrician lists now because he's partially retired, which is
Yeah.
too. So we started working with Gilman's to get some prices together, but we do plan to talk to Tom because he can give us some advice.
Yeah, yeah, he did all the legwork for Kleinschmidt basically. So
Remember that? You told me about.
yeah, yeah, and that's pretty much all I had.
Okay, Catherine, I just had a quick question about that efficiency. I was going to ask, but since you just brought it up, is that just interior lighting, or can it also be exterior lighting or even street lights?
It can't be street lights. It's a specific program just for towns and nonprofits. So it's a new program. It's one that the deadline is March 31st to get everything in, and then has to be done within the next couple of months. So you have to use one of the preferred installers that are on the list that have the certifications. And so it can be outside lighting because the municipal building has been looked at because of the outside lighting here that works or doesn't work over by the fire station. That has been fixed numerous times, so we need something new. And then the back area here is dark, even though we have a street light. So we're looking at that as well as some other locations.
Okay, thank you. Tim.
Just a couple quick things. I just wanted to mention, I wanted to thank the person that came in for the update on Chip. It came in and gave us an update on the project. It was very interesting. I want to say welcome aboard to Brent Frost. Brent Frost and I have known each other for decades, went to school together. I haven't seen him in 25 years, but that's okay. Welcome you to the council. It's good to get a chance to work with you before they ship me off to the Smithsonian here. I've been here since 97, so I'm glad that you took out paperwork, and I'm glad that you got that they elected you to the seat, because I think you'll bring quite a bit to the table. So congratulations. Puritan, I'm very happy with the Puritan and what Chimbro has done. I see they're still advertising for job openings, and I know 2 people that went there and they're very happy, and looks like they're going to be hiring some more. And so I wanted to say thank you to Puritan and Chimbro and everybody that worked on that project, because that's definitely brought some good jobs here in town, and the buildings look awesome. They really, really do. They're a huge improvement, especially down by where I live. That is a huge improvement on that. What used to be the General Signal building looks really, really modern and good. And I am positive that up by the old shoe shop will be just the same when they're all said and done. Also, I wanted to tell Ben Hall, I'm excited about the boat launch and about the Pinnacle in general. I think that when your committee is all said and done, I think you're going to see I think you guys are going to have a lot of activity up to that Pinnacle. And that is a huge draw. I mean, when I realized I was a kid a long time ago, but Mike can tell you the same thing. That place was hopping all the time. And any of these places that are having ski lessons for kids and things that they're hopping all the time. So a good program up there would be very, very beneficial, and it'll draw people into our town. So looking forward to seeing your work, and thank you for all you do. And Mike Gray, good to see you again as well. And you guys, other than that, that's all I have. Oh, and I apologize for eating on camera. My blood sugar was a little low when I get in here. So anyway, that's all I have.
Okay, thanks, Tim. Brent, you just need to unmute, and then you can do some comments. There you go.
I don't have no comments, just it's a new learning experience, and hopefully I'll have some to contribute to this group. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I just have briefly, welcome to Brent. Feel free to ask questions. You can ask questions of your other counselors, myself, Catherine. If you want to know something you don't know until you ask. Chances are, if you're thinking it, somebody else is thinking it too. So go ahead and ask questions when you have them. And it always has a fuller discussion when we're, getting all of the information. So welcome, and thank you for being willing to serve.
Thank you.
I'm really excited that the airport project is going to move forward. I hope that we get some good bids on that, and that we don't have to have any more delays in having it rebid or doing those types of things. I think it's really a project that I know it's been talked about since I've been on the council. So it's been several years that it's been in the planning and the works, and getting all those other projects out of the way have been really, really beneficial, and really adds to the airport, the longevity of it that Caleb was talking about as well. And it is a revenue generator, and it does bring people to town. It's a very busy little place. So we can't overlook that it does have an economic importance to town, for sure. Yeah, I think that's all that I have. Be safe on the roads. They're kind of icy. I know certain roads in town are very heavy right now, so you can't go very fast. So take it slow and save your shocks and struts and whatnot.
I was just going to note quickly, I didn't do the town manager's report just to make sure we could get through this meeting. The wind has picked up again, so we wanted to make sure that we had internet. So I'll send that out to you and do more updates at the next meeting.
Okay. Catherine, is it possible just to have, because the text of the previous town manager report is available in the previous minutes, is it possible just to have the update portions of it listed and maybe listed on the, added to the agenda on the calendar, so that if somebody pulls up tonight's agenda, the manager's report would be in there as well, or?
I didn't actually do it at the meeting. However, we're updating the individual pages, like the town manager has a number of the reports on it, and the other reports are being added.
Okay,
So we can do a link so people can see that. I don't mean for them to be long because I like to talk, because I actually don't. But this is one of the only communication modes that we have now that the newspapers don't really cover the towns as much anymore. So this is a great mode to get information out, because a lot of people watch the town hall streams.
yeah, and I think it'd be good to be able to include it in either on the website or somewhere in there. That way it kind of links to the agenda for this evening. And it can give, like we as counselors receive the full text of the town manager report. It'd be nice if that was also out to the general public to read as well. Because sometimes it can answer some of those questions that you don't know unless you ask, or unless you're able to read the background on some of the other items that come before us.
Yeah, I try to put anything that I think that people could ask about that would be helpful information, helpful items. And so that's why we have discussion items on the agenda in addition to the regular resolutions, orders, and ordinances. So those are all being updated on the website. And so we'll put them on regularly. It might be easier, as you said, just to put them on like we do the minutes after they're approved by adding into the event so people can go in and see everything.
Yeah, I think that'd be the most straightforward. That way it's all in one spot. And it keeps it cataloged with the items that were discussed that night as well.
Sounds good.
Okay. If nobody has anything else, then we'll look for a motion.
Move that we make a motion that we adjourn.
Thank you, Tim.
Second it.
Thank you, Pete. All those in favor of adjournment, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? There's never anybody opposed to adjourning. So, all right. Have a great evening, everyone. Be safe, and hope you all keep power tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Glad we could have the meeting.